is a place in Scripture where a soul stops reaching and simply rests because something solid is underneath, and the soul has finally noticed. Psalm 62 and Psalm 63 open that place tonight. One psalm names the silence, the other names the thirst, and together they move the soul toward the one thing that is always enough. Settle in. There is nothing required of you here. Father, let this soul find in you what it has been quietly reaching for all day. Settle every restless place with the weight of your presence. The way a rock carries the weight of everything placed upon it without shifting. Let the silence of this night become a gift. The kind of silence that arrives when the soul finally recognizes where it is resting. Leave your prayer request in the comments. The night is already here. It has arrived the way it always does, slowly, then completely. The light has thinned and drawn back. The sounds of the day have softened into something lower and quieter. And now there is this, a room, a fire, rain moving gently across the window, and the particular stillness that belongs only to the late hours. The body carries the day in it. You know what that feels like. The shoulders hold something. The mind is still tracing the shape of things, but the night has its own authority, and it has arrived, and it is saying enough. The day is complete. Whatever it held, it is behind you now. This is a good place to receive something from Psalm 62, something from Psalm 63, two ancient songs written by someone who knew what it was to carry weight and to set it down at the only place that could hold it. A single line opens Psalm 62. It arrives simply, without preparation, without ceremony. The psalmist writes it down as though it is the most obvious truth in the world, as though the soul has always known this and is only now remembering. My soul finds its rest in God alone. He is my rock, and there is no trembling here. That is where we begin. Not with explanation, not with instruction, just with that, the soul at rest, the rock underneath. No shifting, no sliding, no need to keep checking whether the ground is still there. A rock does not respond to pressure by moving. It receives the weight, it absorbs the force, and it remains. That is what the psalmist is resting on tonight, and it is what the soul can rest on now. The word alone in that opening verse is doing quiet but important work. God alone. The soul's rest is found in Him and not distributed across a list of other things, not in the resolution of the problem, not in the calming of the circumstance, not in the arrival of the answer. In God alone. The rest is singular. It has one address, and that changes something about the night, because the night often feels like a place where the unresolved things grow louder. The mind wanders toward the things that have no tidy ending, and the soul searches for a surface that will hold it while the uncertainty continues. Here is the surface, a rock, immovable, already underneath. The soul does not have to build it, or find it, or earn its right to rest rest there. It is simply there. And the soul that knows this can place its full weight on it without reservation. Psalm 62 continues, and the psalmist speaks a second time with the same declaration, as though the first saying of it was not enough to satisfy the truth, as though it needed to be said again for the full weight of it to land. He turns toward his own soul, not outward, not upward, but inward, and he addresses it directly. Rest, O my soul, in God alone. From him comes everything you are waiting for. There is something remarkably gentle in the way the psalmist does this. He is not arguing with his soul. He is not rebuking it or commanding it into compliance. He is speaking to it the way you speak to something you love that is carrying too much, with recognition and with direction and with an offering. Rest. From him comes everything you are waiting for. The soul receives this. The body hears it. And something in the chest loosens slightly, the way a fist loosens when it finally remembers it does not need to hold so tightly. There is one more movement in Psalm 62 before we leave it for a while. The psalmist extends the invitation outward. He speaks to everyone who carries a burden, and he says, pour it out before him. Pour out your heart before him. He is a refuge. The pouring out is not a prayer in the formal sense. It is simpler than that. It is the gesture of open hands. It is the release of what has been gripped. Everything carried in, everything held through the day and the week and the long accumulation of ordinary difficulty. It can be set down here. Open hands, nothing to grip, nothing required. And what receives the outpouring is not a concept or an idea. It is a person who is described as a refuge, a place of safety large enough to hold everything that has been brought. This is where the silence of Psalm 62 begins. The soul pours out what it carried, and then it is empty in the best possible way. And the silence that follows the emptying is the silence the psalmist has been describing all along. In quietness and trust is strength. That is not a suggestion from Psalm 62. It is a word from the prophet Isaiah, who said it centuries later, as though he had been reading the same psalm. In quietness and trust is strength. The culture tells the soul that strength is found in speaking, in doing, in resolving, in advancing. Isaiah says the opposite. Strength is found in quietness, in the kind of trust that does not need to verify itself every few minutes, in the settled posture of a soul that has found its rock and is resting on it without noise. The fire is low, the rain is steady, the room is still. This is what quietness and trust look like in the body. The breath slowing, the hands uncurling, the mind releasing its grip on the things it was trying to solve. There is strength in this, the kind that does not announce itself. The sleepy angels community gathers here in this quiet place, in these late hours, to receive from Scripture what the day could not offer. If this is a place your soul keeps returning to, there is more waiting here for you. many more nights like this one. Now the Psalms shift. Psalm 62 established the posture, the silence, the rock, the poured out heart. And now Psalm 63 opens into something different in texture, but continuous in direction. The psalmist is in a desert. We do not need to know the details of what brought him there. The wilderness is simply the condition he is in, dry, exposed, stripped of easy comfort. And in that condition, he writes the most honest thing a soul can write in the dark. My soul thirsts for you, as a dry land waits for rain. There is no embarrassment in this verse, no attempt to soften the hunger or make the need sound smaller than it is. The psalmist names it plainly. I am dry, and everything in me is reaching for you. This kind of honesty does something quiet to the soul that hears it. It gives permission to feel what is actually felt. The soul lying in the dark, tired from carrying things, aware that something is missing or incomplete. That soul is allowed to name its thirst. The name is not a problem. It is the beginning of an orientation. Thirst turns the soul in a direction. The dry land waiting for rain is an image that arrives simply. Imagine that kind of ground, not dramatic, not extreme, just parched. The surface cracked slightly from the lack of water. The soil waiting with a patience it did not choose, but has settled into. The sky above it holds the possibility of rain, and the ground does not reach upward in desperation. It simply waits. It simply opens. That is the posture the soul can take. Open, honest about its thirst, leaning toward the source of what it needs without striving, without argument. The rain will come. The soil knows this the way the soul knows it when it has stopped trying to produce its own moisture through effort and noise. Psalm 63 continues, and the psalmist does something that reaches forward across time. He remembers. He has seen God's power and glory in the sanctuary, that quiet place of recognition, that moment when the soul sees something real and is silenced by it. The seeing happened before the wilderness. The memory of it sustains him in the dry place. And what the seeing revealed was this: your steadfast love is better than life. These words do not need to be explained. They need to be received. The psalmist has looked at everything that qualifies as valuable, everything worth having, everything called good, and he has placed it beside the steadfast love of God and said, this love is better. It surpasses life itself. The soul that rests in this is resting in the superior thing. The inferior things, comfort, resolution, the end of difficulty, the arrival of better circumstances. None of them are the source. God's steadfast love is the source, and it is better than the best thing the soul might have hoped to receive instead. The lips fall quiet before that truth. The Hebrew word for this love is hesed, and it is worth sitting with for a moment, not theologically, not analytically, but simply. Hesed is covenant love, the love that made a promise and is bound to the promise. the love that does not tire, does not recalculate, does not withdraw when the soul is at its least presentable. It is the love that exists because of what God is, not because of what the soul has produced. This is what the rest of the night is held in. Not warm feelings, not the quality of today's faith. He's the love that simply holds because it promised to hold, and it does not fail. The psalmist receives this love, and something in him responds. His lips bless. His hands lift, not dramatically, not in a performance of worship, but the way a full person lifts their hands when they have been given something beyond what they expected. Involuntary gratitude. The breath of a satisfied soul finding a voice, and then he names the satisfaction. My soul is satisfied as with the richest of foods, not barely fed, not managing. Satisfied, the way the body feels after a meal that was genuinely, completely good. Warm and full and no longer reaching. The hunger answered. This is what Psalm 63 is moving toward. Thirst was named honestly, and thirst has been answered honestly. The soul that opened in the dry land finds itself full in the night. Nothing more needs to be added to this moment. The satisfaction does not require commentary. It simply exists. The soul is full of something real, and the body can follow the soul's lead. The fire burns quietly. The rain continues outside, and the fullness has a quality that is hard to describe, but easy to receive. It is not the fullness of noise or accomplishment. It is the fullness of something essential being genuinely present, the richest of foods, the best the table offers, and the soul has been given all of it. Psalm 63 continues into the night. The psalmist is not imagining this. He is not speaking in future tense. He is on his bed, in the dark, in the night watches, those quiet hours when the rest of the world is still, and the soul has no distractions left to reach for. And in those hours, he thinks of God. On my bed I remember you. In the night watches, I think of you. The night watches were the ancient divisions of the dark hours, the slow, patient hours between midnight and dawn, the hours that can feel longest, the hours when the mind either spirals or settles, depending entirely on where it has placed its weight. The psalmist placed his in God, and the night watches became something valuable. Not wasted hours, not endured intervals, but a genuine practice of dwelling, of letting the mind move through what it knows of God and rest there, unhurried in the dark. This moment right now is a night watch, the soul listening, the scripture moving through the quiet, the mind releasing the day's residue. This is the ancient practice. This is what the psalmist did on his own bed, in his own darkness, with his own weight. And then Psalm 63 offers the image that holds everything together. You have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings, I will sing. The shadow of wings. Think of what that means physically. The presence of something above, around, covering. warmth from the covering. Proximity, not the exposure of open ground, but the particular shelter of being underneath something that is choosing to stay. Wings are warm. Wings are close. Wings speak of a creature that moves toward, that leans over, that draws near with intention. The shadow of God's wings is the most intimate shelter Psalm 63 can imagine. And the soul in that shadow does not cower. It sings, quietly, gratefully, with the soft voice of something that has found where it belongs. In the shadow of your wings, I rest. That single line can carry the whole night. There is covering above. There is warmth in the shadow. The soul is held by something that chose to lean over it. And the response is a quiet song, not performed, not loud, just the natural voice of something full and sheltered. The song does not need words tonight. It is already being sung somewhere in the chest, in the breath, in the slow rhythm of a body settling deeper into rest. Psalm 131 enters quietly here, like a smaller psalm holding the same truth. It is only 3 verses long, but the image it carries is ancient and bodily and deeply calming. The psalmist writes of a soul that has grown quiet, like a weaned child with its mother, not a hungry child, not a demanding child, a weaned child, one that has moved past the stage of urgent need and has arrived at something simpler and more complete. The child is not there for feeding. The child is there because of the one who holds it. The rest is not transactional. It is relational, and the soul can arrive at the same place, past the stage of urgent petition, past the need to explain the request or press the case, simply present, resting against the one who holds it, like a weaned child with its mother. The soul is quiet before God. Be still and know that I am God. This is Psalm 46, and it arrives the way the stillness it describes arrives, without announcement. The command is not a discipline to perform. It is a permission to receive. Be still. The way you become still when you stop fighting what is already true. And in the stillness, knowing. Knowing does not require effort here. It comes with the stopping. The soul that ceases its noise finds that recognition was waiting in the silence all along. Not a new discovery. An old knowing, finally audible because the noise has stepped back. Be still, and in the stillness, know. The shepherd of Psalm 23 enters now, gently and without ceremony. The Lord is my shepherd, and the first thing the shepherd does, the first active thing the psalm describes, is lead the sheep into green pastures and make them lie down. The making is important. The sheep does not decide to rest on its own. The shepherd leads, and the sheep follows, and the lying down happens because the shepherd chose it, chose the place, chose the time, chose the particular patch of green and still water that the sheep needed and could not have found without guidance. The soul does not always know when it needs to stop. The shepherd does. He makes the sheep lie down. and the making is gentle. It is not compulsion. It is an invitation so perfect that the sheep has nothing left to resist. Beside the still waters, not rushing water, not the noise of a current. Still water, the kind that does not demand anything of the creature beside it. That simply reflects, that simply holds. The soul is led here, to the quiet place, to the water that mirrors the sky above it, and asks nothing of the one who rests beside it. And the soul is restored, not repaired, not rebuilt, restored, the way something returns to what it was always meant to be when it is placed back in its original conditions. The shepherd knows those conditions, and he leads there without drama, without delay, without requiring the soul to identify the destination in advance. He makes me lie down. He leads me. My soul is restored. There is a voice in the Gospel of Matthew that says the same thing the shepherd's path has always been saying. Come to me, all who are weary. It is spoken by Jesus, and it is one of the most unguarded invitations in all of Scripture. No qualification, no condition. Weary ones, come, all of them. Simply only come, and I will give you rest. Not teach you rest, not show you the method for achieving rest. Give it, present it as a gift, hand it to the one who came freely, because the invitation was extended freely. The yoke is easy, the burden is light, and what is received in the coming is rest for the soul. This is the New Testament echo of every psalm that is pointed here. The thirst names itself, and the voice that answers says, come, find rest. And in the Gospel of John, on the last and greatest day of the feast, Jesus stands up and cries out, if anyone thirsts, let them come to me and drink. Rivers of living water will flow. The thirst that Psalm 63 named, the dry land reaching upward. This is where it finds its completion. The longing that the psalmist felt in the wilderness was always oriented toward this. The rivers that flow from the one who receives the thirsty soul are living. They do not run out. They do not stagnate. They do not require the soul to carry anything back to a separate source. The source moves with the soul. The thirst the soul has always felt at the edges of things, the ache at the back of ordinary days, the hollow that persists beneath comfort. It was never a problem to eliminate. It was always a direction to follow, and the direction leads here. Now the Psalms return one more time. Psalm 63, verse 8. The verse that closes the arc of thirst and arrival with the simplest possible description of what the soul does when it is found where it belongs. My soul clings to you. Your right hand holds me. The word clings could be misread as desperation. But in this context, after the satisfaction, after the shadow of wings, after the night watches of remembering, clinging is the most restful posture available. It is a leaning. The full weight of the soul resting against God, the way a body leans against a wall it trusts completely, not gripping from fear, leaning from rest. The soul has released everything except this one closeness, and it is enough, because the right hand is already there. The soul does not produce the holding. It simply receives it. God's right hand, strong, specific, present, is already upholding. The soul leans. The hand holds. The rest is complete. There is a quality to being upheld that the body understands better than the mind. The body knows what it means to stop carrying itself. When the shoulders release their own weight, when the neck lets go of what it has been holding upright, when the lower back unclenches from the effort of sustaining the day, the right hand of God is underneath all of that, not as a concept, as a presence, strong enough to carry, already present beneath the weight that was never meant to be carried alone. The soul can release the weight of itself. The hand is there. The upholding is real. And while the soul rests, God does not. Psalm 121 says what the resting soul can know and be held by. He who keeps you will not slumber. He will not sleep. The keeper of Israel is awake, fully awake, tending to the night the way the soul cannot tend to it from within sleep. Every hour of the dark is watched. Every shift in the air is known. The soul in its sleep is not unattended. It is more attended than at any other time, because the one watching it is unlimited in both presence and power. The soul can close its eyes because other eyes are open. This is not a passive arrangement. The keeper is active, tending, watching, covering, while the soul does the one thing it is asked to do in this hour: rest. And here is something the soul might not have considered. While it leans against God in the quiet, God is leaning back. The prophet Zephaniah wrote a verse so gentle, it sounds almost impossible. The Lord your God is in your midst. He rejoices over you with gladness. He quiets you with his love. He exults over you with loud singing. The quieting is from him. The love is the instrument. And there is a song, not the soul's song only, God's song. This is the image of God in Zephaniah, not waiting to be worshipped, not tallying the soul's performance, but rejoicing, delighting, singing over the one who rests against him. The silence of the soul is the space where that song becomes audible, very low, very close, the kind of music that does not require volume to be heard. And in the most stripped down places, the places of desolation, the interior wildernesses, the voice of God is not absent. It is tender. The prophet Hosea heard God say this about the dry places: I will lead you into the wilderness and speak tenderly to you. The stripping away was always for nearness. The emptying was always to make room. The quiet that feels like absence is the very condition in which the tender speech becomes most clear. The soul in its late-night honesty, with nothing left to perform or produce, has arrived at exactly the place where this tender speech is given. There is nothing to fear in the emptiness. The voice is already there, already quiet, already close. now something shifts very gently in the quality of the night. The body is heavier. The breath has found a longer rhythm. The mind is no longer tracing lines of thought to their conclusions. It is letting them drift, unfinished, and finding that the unfinished things do not need resolution to be released. This is what those who wait on the Lord receive. Isaiah said it plainly. They who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. The mounting up is not tonight's action. Tonight's action is the waiting, and the waiting is already happening. The renewal is quiet and invisible, something being replenished in the interior of the soul while the body rests and the mind grows still. The strength being renewed right now does not announce itself. It arrives in the silence, the way rain arrives on dry ground, not loudly, not with ceremony, but completely. The soul that rests tonight rests towards something. Lamentations says it with the kind of clarity that belongs to writing, that emerged from great suffering and came out the other side, still holding onto something real. His mercies never end. They are new every morning. Great is his faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says the soul, and then wait quietly for him. The morning is far ahead. The soul does not need to go there yet, but the mercies are already forming on the other side of this night. Already new, already waiting, already prepared by a faithfulness that has never once taken a day off. The soul waits quietly. The Lord is the portion, not what God provides, but God himself. Set aside for this soul, specifically, personally, completely. When God is the portion, the soul has been given everything essential. There is a verse in Song of Solomon that opens like a door into a garden. Under his shadow I sat down with great delight. The shadow of wings that Psalm 63 described has this quality too. The shadow is pleasant. The covering is a place of delight, not only a place of safety. The soul resting here is not merely protected, it is welcomed, received, held in a space that the one above it shaped specifically for shelter and for sweetness. Rest here is good. The fire is low. The rain continues its steady gentleness outside, and the shadow above is warm with the warmth of a presence that chose to lean over this soul and stay. The love that holds this night is permanent. Paul wrote it at the end of a long argument, and when he arrived at the conclusion, he let it stand without qualification. Nothing in all creation can separate the soul from the love of God. Height or depth, the present or what comes next, nothing that exists, nothing at all. The rest tonight is on permanent ground. The love under the soul is the same love that will be under it tomorrow and every night after. It does not depend on the quality of the soul's faith today. It does not diminish when the day was hard. It does not recalculate based on what the soul brought with it into the night. The ground holds. It holds completely. It will hold forever. The night has deepened. The fire is very low now, just coals. The the slow, patient red of something that has been burning long enough to stop needing to prove itself. The rain is still present outside, steady and unhurried. A sound so continuous it has become part of the silence, rather than an interruption of it. The body has been settling for a while now, and the soul has something it did not carry when the night began. Not a resolution, not an answer, something better, a surface, a rock, the certainty of something that does not shift beneath it. My soul finds its rest in God alone. The words of Psalm 63 drift through one more time, very softly. My soul clings to you. Your right hand holds me. The clinging requires nothing. The holding is already in place. The soul leans. The hand upholds. And the rest is the natural result of a weight that has finally been placed where it belongs. There is no effort in this. There is only the releasing of effort. The body knows this. It is already doing it. The hands uncurled, the chest open, the breath long and low. In the shadow of your wings, that image returns once more, barely a whisper. The shadow is still here. The covering is still present. The warmth of it is the warmth of proximity, of something close and choosing to remain close. The soul does not need to do anything to maintain this covering. It was not earned. It cannot be lost by falling asleep. The wings remain regardless. Rest under them, and God's song is still being sung, very low, below the level of hearing, but present in the same way that the fire is present, even when it is too dim to see clearly. The singing is there. The delight is real. The soul resting quietly is the soul being rejoiced over. He quiets you with his love. That is his action, not the soul's. God's love is the instrument of the quieting. And the quieting has been happening throughout this entire night, one word at a time, one scripture at a time, one image settling over another, like layers of something warm. The keeper of Israel does not sleep. Somewhere in the hours ahead, this truth remains steady, not announced, simply present. The way walls are present in a dark room, you cannot see them, but they are holding the shape of the space around you. The soul sleeps, the keeper watches. Every breath is known. Every dark hour is covered. The watching never lapses. Rest inside that. The Lord is my portion. The soul can say this in the quiet, not as a theology to defend, but as the simplest statement of what it has found. He is enough. He is the portion, the thing specifically set aside, the thing that belongs to this soul, and this soul belongs to. Nothing more needs to be added to what is already present. The mercies are forming on the other side of the night, already being prepared, already new. The faithfulness that has never once failed is already preparing what the morning will need. The soul does not need to go there yet. Wait quietly, rest deeply. A weaned child, quiet, present, past the stage of urgent asking, resting simply because the one who holds it is the one who holds it. That is where the soul is now. The soul is quiet before God, not performing rest, not achieving silence, simply present in the way a child is present when it has stopped needing anything and started simply being with the one it loves. The green pastures are still. The shepherd has led here to this particular place of lying down, and the soul is lying down. The still waters are nearby, not audible, but known. The kind of water that reflects without distortion, that restores without requiring anything from the one beside it. The soul is restored, not repaired from something broken. Restored to what it was always made to be, quiet, held, present, resting in the one who knows its name, and let it hear. And now Psalm 62 returns the way a night ends, circling gently back to where it began. The soul finds its rest in God alone. From Him comes everything it was waiting for. This has been true from the first moment of the night. It will be true when morning comes. And in every place between, it remains. The rock is solid. The fortress is standing. The love is faithful. The hand is holding. There is nothing required of the soul in this hour except to receive what is already being given. And then, at the very end, the psalmist says the simplest thing. A verse so completed requires nothing around it. In peace, I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, God, make me dwell in safety, in peace, because the ground is solid, because the hand is holding, because the love does not fail and the keeper does not sleep, because the portion is God Himself and God Himself is enough. I will lie down and I will sleep. For you alone, the circle is complete. The soul that arrived in the silence of Psalm 62 has traveled through the thirst of Psalm 63, through the satisfaction, through the shadow of wings, through the night watches, through the cling and the upholding and the singing and the mercies and the keeper who watches. And it has arrived here, safe, full, held, resting on the only surface that does not shift. In peace, I will lie down and sleep. The fire is very low now. The rain is still present, and the soul has found what it came looking for: the rock, the silence, the shadow, the holding hand, the love that is better than life. There is nothing more to do here. Only this: the breath lengthening, the body settling, the mind releasing its grip on the last remaining thing it was holding. My soul finds its rest in God alone. Let that be the last thought, and then below even thought, just the warmth, the silence, and the keeping that continues through every hour of the dark. You are held. The night is full of it. Sleep well.
Bye.